Hey Cougar fans, we're here with USF head football coach Jed Stugart. We're going to wrap up the football season with a year-end video here, talk about the season. Jed, it's been quite a run that you guys have gone through. 3 9-win seasons in 4 years in the NSIC. And then this year you made it to the NCAA playoffs for the first time. Can you talk about the season and what you kind of year you thought it was?
Yeah, 9+ seasons. I mean, it's a 9-win and plus season. I mean, you think about just the accomplishment these guys had. I mean, just it's been amazing. It's weird. It's you could say almost a disappointing year in some ways, but not disappointed in this team, because I think expectationally the bar was raised. We felt like we had a team that could win the conference, and go on and make some splash. I think we truly felt that coming out of spring and in the fall camp. And then, but with football and seasons go, is adversity. And what I think I'm most proud of, and that's why I'm not disappointed in this team, is of course we're disappointed at where we felt like we could be. And I think what I'm proud of, though, is the fact that when adversity hit, when the injuries hit, when these things were happening, for a team to figure out ways to win enough games, get to the playoffs, and then as it's documented, even the adversity of our travel to a playoff game. It just seemed like we just had everything that could happen to us this year did. And sometimes, I always tell our players, that's life. Nothing's going to be easy. And so how they handled themselves, and so you learn from it. We're excited about next year. We're excited about spring football. So to recap all that, a pretty amazing season. And I just think of the accolades and a lot of these awards and our academic All-Americans that just come out. And I mean, just kind of go on and on. That pretty special season. Yeah, we're disappointed in it in a lot of ways, because I think we've raised the standard that we expect to be at. And I think our players want that. I think our coaches want that. And I think our fans expect that too. So, but not disappointed in our kids.
20 wins. You mentioned 9+ wins. Of course, 11-win season a year ago, 9 this year. In 2012, you had 9, and yet even had 6 in 2013. So it's a pretty amazing run to make the playoffs in the 4th year in the NSIC. When it's possible that you could have made it in your 2nd year, and also you probably should have made it a year ago. So it was something where this group of student athletes, you lose 17 seniors. Do you want to talk about the seniors, guys like John Tidwell and Grant Schindler?
Yeah.
And
it's kind of when I got here, when I took the job here, obviously a lot of the recruiting was happening, and so I took over a class that Kalen and his staff was already recruiting, and and so it was cool, because I feel like those are my guys too. This senior class that's graduated was kind of my first, from starting in that next spring through right. Recruiting, was kind of my class that I was recruiting from the start. So I always kind of look at that as kind of special, because to see them graduate now, we've been together the longest, and that's hard. It's hard because you become so attached. I think of it just seems you remember what they looked like size-wise, and what they've grown into, and what they've matured into, and how they've become great leaders. So, I'll fail to mention everybody, and so but yeah, I remember the home visit with John Tidwell, and I remember. When Cameron Ostrom came in here, and I remember sitting in Clint Wilson's home, and sitting out at Carter Aller's house, and all these and then the guys that we've added that maybe weren't here the whole time, that are part of that class too, that we got to know, and so a pretty special group of guys. Again, an amazing career, and what's cool is when they pop in, and the relationships, and that's what I love about this job, is the relationships go beyond their seasons. They become friendships. They become, they're just like your kids a little bit. You stay in touch with them, and they pop in. So it's the bittersweet part of this business. It's hard when they leave, and because we do get emotionally attached to our players around here. Dan, we talk about love all the time, and family, it's hard because once they're gone, it's you miss them. But you got another batch of guys coming, and it's always kind of fun because it also replaces that a little bit.
Well, you mentioned Carter Allers, you mentioned Clint Wilson, Grant Schindler, and of course John Tidwell. All three of them are three-time all NSIC academic team selections, so they did it on the field and off. And then John Tidwell was named, along with Brady Rose, an academic All-American, and quarterback Luke Papillion was a Coushatta Hall District guy. He probably just got edged out because there were some other really good, talented quarterbacks at that level.
And I was thinking again, and I didn't talk about Solomon, about him being a part of that class, because the other thing too is to see, people don't realize just how great of a career that kid had, but what he's come in here to be, what he's developed into, how he's doing academically, all those things that. So another example of a kid that maybe was always talented but didn't recognize that he had some leadership capability. He had he saw that he had more to offer, and to see him emerge into that of stuff even off the field is pretty cool. So another kid that I look at, it just seems like yesterday. So
well, I mean, I was talking with a couple of the defensive coaches. We were talking about Solomon. I mean, here's a 6-time All-American. He's probably going to have several more All-American honors. He's a Cliff Harris Award finalist and nominee, and he's had 20 interceptions in his last 24 games, which is just incredible. But when you talk to Solomon, it's about team, and he's like John Tidwell and Grant Schindler and Carter and all the others, that you preach team, but they all live it and believe it and breathe it and are examples of it, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And that's the thing that I think it makes this place authentic, is that I think everybody talks about family and everybody talks about, but I think if you're really inside the walls of this program and you see how the tears that are shed over each other, the hugs, the love, and you can tell how close this group's been, and that's why it made standing around on their field after our last game special, but also sad and joyful, all wrapped up in one.
You had some very measurable things happen this year. I mean, from an individual standpoint, we just mentioned Solomon, Luke Papillion. Here's a junior quarterback that's probably he's on the verge of setting all kinds of records next year. He's 5th in passing and TDs, and he's 2nd all-time in total offense with more than 9,000 yards. He led the league in total offense for the 2nd year in a row. And as I just said, he has 9,000 for his career. He was the only player in the North Central Conference with over 4,000 yards in total offense this year. So he for a 2nd straight year he was a Harlan Hill candidate. And then Antonio Green is the Gene Upshaw Award nominee from this school, and all three of them recently made a all-region team. And so what you have is some really good things, but you beat a top 10 team for first time in program history. You made the playoffs, so there was a lot of good rewards. Is there any games that are that you remember about this season?
Well, I think the Duluth game was special because I think that's when the adversity of our season began. I think when we lost Tidwell and we lost Clark, we go into halftime. We come out. We've got 2 key defenders down. Those are important, and to see our kids overcome that, to see Cliff step up, Redmond step up and make the key play backing up John Tidwell because they came after Cliff, and to see him make the play to win the game. That's a memorable game, and so unfortunately, I think us in Duluth, that's the tough part, is I think we fought each other pretty hard in that game. It was very physical, and I think both of us had a hard time overcoming that game from an injury standpoint. That's really where our woes began, and so it's made the year memorable because we lost some games we feel like we shouldn't have. We love another shot at them, but that's what's happened. But the thing is how do you bounce back out of those and get in contention and have a chance? I think of our trip and our playoff game. I mean, that had the potential of could have been an ugly game, just because when you experience that much turmoil on a trip and travel, and and have our guys stay as focused as they did and play as hard as they did, and is another memory that they came out fighting and scratching and doing everything they can. So again, just a bunch of memorable things, Dan, of this season. Great things to build off of, and we're gonna bounce back, and I think like I said, we're gonna bounce back and have a heck of a season next year, and it starts right now. I mean, our first quarter of our season begins right now in the weight room and what we're doing. So we're already on pace, and we're excited about recruiting and where we're at with that. And that's another fun part of this job is getting the next batch of Cougars. So we're fired up about that.
In case fans didn't know, if they were in a bubble or something, the Cougars did spend 13 hours in an airport, in Sioux Falls Airport, and then they got in at 2 o'clock in the morning. But they played hard, and they lost a 23-16 decision to Henderson State in the playoffs, a game that Cougars had a chance to win right at the end when Luke Papilli made a throw to the end zone that a player for Henderson State made a great play on to stop a touchdown pass. So it was they battled right to the end. Speaking of moving and transitioning, you talked about that you're in the first quarter now of next season. How do you look forward to next year? I mean, you guys got off-season workouts that begin, and that's where a lot of coaches say your seasons are built, obviously, and then leading into spring ball. What makes you optimistic? And you have a lot of key guys coming back. You lose some really important parts as well.
Yeah, I think number one is the fact that we like our youth that we've recruited. So we're excited about the guys that are going to have opportunity, especially defensively. We do graduate a lot of guys, but we also got some guys coming up. I think we bring a great nucleus of offense coming back. We've got some leaders, young leaders on defense that have been in a leadership role as an underclassman that I feel like we're not going to have new leadership. We've got some veterans that have played that'll help kind of keep that going from a leadership standpoint. So we're very tight as a group. We're very close. Offense and defensive guys spend a lot of time together, and so I'm very optimistic about next year. And I think that's the fun part, is the recruiting part, getting back in the weight room and in the gym and all those things that we do in this off season is exciting. We start our competition phases of what's going on, and that's fun. It's kind of you get to see kind of who's the next batch of guys that are going to start stepping up. So. So it's no rest for the weary. We're already rolling, and so we'll take our time off in July. Right now, we're still rolling pretty hard.
Now, you 13 players were honored as part of the All-League team, either first, second, or honorable mention, which is second year in a row. You also had 31, and the academic side of it is special because when you think about the fact that every single year you've increased your number of all-league academic selections, that shows that these kids really take to heart not only what you're doing out in competition, but in the classroom, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think our grade point average here as a team is outstanding. Our kids are committed to the classroom. It's just really proud of where they're at when it comes to their commitment to academics. And every head coach is going to be biased and partial and things, but we didn't have enough guys on that list, and I think everybody can make cases, but it is what it is. I think maybe we're kind of I think I look at our offensive line and just that stat of the sacks. I mean, how many sacks they give up? I mean, that's remarkable. I mean,
led the nation with giving up
with sacks given up, which was 4 or 5. It's just amazing.
Yeah,
was it 4? I guess it
ended up with 5 total sacks,
right, 5
but
total
9 games where they didn't give up a sack
That's
all
what it
year,
is.
which
And
is
so-
which is unbelievable.
So just, I look at things like that and go, man, those are pretty cool. You don't hear that very much, in the
They had a
course of
great
the
year. Finally, you have a staff here that put in, and will start putting even more incredible hours. Talk about your coaching staff and the value that they have meant to you and this program.
Well, that's where, that's where I'm blessed, because I think, I have owed, I've been fortunate to have a successful head coaching career, and I can't, from the time I started till now, I've just been blessed to surround myself with incredible men. I think it's something where it's a template that I was always taught and believe in, is to get people around you that love kids. They're there to try to make a difference in the lives, and so I followed that template in who I've hired, and it's paid off, because I think ultimately we're given a responsibility when we have these kids in our possession, and I think we have to, and that's, I can't tell you the love I have for the staff, the work they put in, the family men that they are. They got incredible wives and kids, and so just pretty fortunate and blessed. And so I love how hard they work, but they know they can manage their time, and they show their players the priorities in life. They because they value their family and they value their work, but they do it in the right priority, and that goes to show you that they're constantly being great role models for our players. So I owe all that to them when it comes to the success I've had in this business, and so I praise God for that. So we're excited to kind of get back to work on the field. I mean, right now we're excited to recruit, but it's always fun to kind of see what our next team's going to look like.
Thanks, Jed. Wrapping up the season, the Cougars went 9-3. They are currently ranked number 16 in the country. There'll be a final ranking that comes out. 22 consecutive weeks that the Cougars have been ranked in a national poll, either in d2football.com or the AFCA coaches poll. And they will move on to 6 home games, 7 games in Sioux Falls next year. And so it's going to be an exciting season once again at the University of Sioux Falls and Bob Young Field. Thanks, Jed, for stopping by.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.